Hey guys, what's going on? This is Travis P11. I'd like to welcome you back to the channel. Well guys, if you've been following the channel, this has been a bit of a journey for me trying to get the perfect AR-15 pistol set up, and I think I finally found it. Back in July 4th actually, ironically enough, I ordered this Palmetto State Armory, just standard Magpul edition, lower receiver, pistol lower receiver. And I ordered a Radical Firearms upper because PSA had been sold out for a while out of this just standard 10.5 inch carbine gas system AR-15 upper. They didn't have this one in stock, so I ordered a Radical Firearms version, which between that and the Anderson bolt carrier group just did not play nice. And so I decided to go ahead and sell the bolt carrier group after running quite a few rounds through it, trying to get it tuned how I wanted it. Just couldn't quite get it to perform the way I wanted to. So I sold that, sold the bolt carrier group, and I was basically starting all over again. Well, one of the nice things about getting an AR-15 lower is that if you do, you've got a variety of uppers that you can go with, and you can go from anything from a 7-inch barrel to a 10.5 to whatever you feel like putting up on the top. Now, there's a few laws and some basic legalities about these things that you need to understand. I'm not going to get so much into the specifics about whether or not to shoulder this beast. That's going to be basically up to you and whatever kind of setup you're running on the end. That's a whole nother series of videos, and I don't really want to get into arguments with keyboard commandos about the legality behind shouldering this, whether or not you should. That's not what this video is about. So what I want to share with you today, guys, are just the basics about the Palmetto State Armory AR-15 pistol, okay? Some of the things you need to know about it, some of the basic features and my experiences with it. I'll even put a little bit of, show you some early footage of a range video that I just filmed last weekend to show you what kind of accuracy I was able to pull off with it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Now, first of all, we want to check and make sure that the firearm is in fact unloaded. Now, this pistol, this AR-15 pistol is kept for truck gun use and also home defense, so yes, you will see rounds in the magazine. And we'll go ahead and check the chamber, make sure it's empty. It is in fact empty. It's always a good idea to check. By the way, that was getting caught on over here. It's not having issues charging. So anyway, man, where do we begin? Let's talk about the basic material, builds, construction, and so on. Like I said before, this is a 10.5 inch carbine length AR-15 full barreled upper assembly with the PSA standard bolt carrier group, where it's made out of 70-75 T6 aluminum up on the top. It is forged. The barrel is a 1-in-7 twist. I tested it with both 55 grain and 62 grain ammunition, and it fired both of them just fine. I had better accuracy with the 62 grain. Spoiler alert for you. It does have just a basic anodized finish. You do have your standard dust cover and also your forward assist, which comes in handy. Now, when I ordered it, guys, I ended up paying, I believe it was $169, and I could not get it with the bolt carrier group or the charging handle at the time. So I ordered it. I had to pay for shipping. Wasn't really happy about that. I contacted Palmetto State Armory, and they said, you know, you can cancel your order if you want to. You can turn around and reorder it and get the savings if you want to, but I was kind of in a hurry to get it. I just wanted to get it so I could get it to the range and enjoy it. So I went ahead and just kind of paid the piper and ended up paying about $243 delivered. Now, if you're going to order this setup, I'm going to tell you right now, you need to play your cards right. You need to watch prices. I've seen the uppers with a bolt carrier group and a charging handle for as low as around $229. Okay, now right now, they're selling the complete upper assembly for $269. Now, I'm not trying to make this an advertisement for Palmetto State Armory, but you really do need to watch the prices on these things. And they're also offering that with free shipping, which means you can get one heck of a deal on it. I paid $243 without the bolt carrier group and without the charging handle. Now, luckily I had the charging handle sitting around, and I got a good deal on the bolt carrier group when PSA got them on sale a week later. Let's see, a few more things you need to know about this. It'll accept any kind of mil-spec charging handle on it. I'm just using the basic charging handle. This is a double star charging handle that I had on the AR-15 upper before with a Strike Industries extended latch, charging latch. And I've had pretty good luck with that so far. I haven't done anything to the bolt carrier group. I have not put the Bravo Company extractor kit in it like I've done in my other AR-15s. Now, this is a very simple budget setup. I'm just going to say that right now. This is one of the least expensive red dots that are out on the market at this time that you can get. This is a Bushnell TRS 25 red dot. Does a pretty good job. At 100 yards, it basically covers up a 10 to 12 inch target completely. So when you're taking shots at it, if you can keep it within a 2 to 3 inch group, you're going to be shooting a fairly decent group with it. It does have just a very simple economic riser. This is just a UTG riser. This is a UTG flip-up rear sight, which I've had on many AR-15s. It's performed very well. I've had thousands of rounds fired through my AR-15s, and this little sight has held up well. It's a fairly beefy construction. It is rugged, and it does hold zero, so really that's all I care about. Now, I'm honestly not a fan of the flat top uppers with a flat gas block on the front. I prefer a fixed front sight post. I figure for a truck gun that's going to get banged around a little bit, that might get tossed around, I wanted something that was going to be rugged and durable and ready to go. Now, it is an F-marked front sight base, which means that you might have to look at what kind of a rear sight you go with. You should honestly be okay with a M-Bus MOE flip-up rear sight. Should not be a problem there. The bolt itself, the bolt carrier group, is 158 Carpenter steel. It is hard anodized. It is the full auto bolt carrier group, but it's not a full auto firearm, mind you, okay? A few of the features about the gun, just your standard magazine well. You just got your standard handguard, which really does not get that hot. I mean, I didn't do a ton of rapid firing through it, but it barely got uncomfortable at all when I was shooting it. And I had some pretty decent sessions where I ran through a few mag dumps. You do not have an ambidextrous safety on it, just so you know. Okay, you can get a two-sided safety if you want to. This is just your standard one-sided safety switch. All right, it does have just your basic mil-spec trigger. It's very mil-spec all the way through. You know, it's going to be, well, about as mil-spec as you can get, I guess you can say, for a commercial non-military AR-15. Now, when you actually order it, you're going to be getting it with the different buffer tube on the rear. Okay, what you're going to get is something that looks like this. Now, this is durable, rugged, it's decent, it has no padding on it at all, so if you try to shoulder this or you put this up against and do a cheek weld on it, it's going to be usable, but it's not going to be very comfortable. Now, in some places, this is about all you can do to it, but here's a problem I ran into. I put the CAC Industries shockwave blade on the back of it, and lo and behold, it started to slide. It didn't matter how tight I got that screw, and I didn't want to over-tighten it. Excuse me. It would go in here and bite, but then just start to slide as I would put the rounds through the firearm, which is really a pain in the butt. So what I went ahead and did was I ordered the CAC Industries shockwave blade tube, which I guess you can't really tell in here, but it has a series of dimples in it that are designed to accept the screw that comes in the shockwave blade stabilizing fin, and that allows it to not permanently, but lock into place to a point where it's not going to move when you use it. Now, let's just kind of talk about some of the legality of the AR-15 pistol. First of all, you got to make sure this thing is legal wherever you live. Okay, when you purchase it, you got to make sure that you can own a firearm, that you can own this type of a firearm. You know, it was purchased and registered to me as a pistol. The lower receiver was, and so I follow pistol rules and regulations when it comes to actually using this thing. And so again, you know, you may or may not be able to put this kind of a fin on the back. I know a lot of guys like to put a SV brace on the back. Now, when it comes to shouldering it, I'm not going to say if I have, and I'm not going to say if I haven't. What I can say is it can be comfortably fired, basically however you wish to hold it. The recoil is really not that bad, and this can be collapsed even more. Now, the basic rule that I've seen so far as of November of 2017, is that the rear of your stabilizing fin or SIG brace or arm brace and the front of your trigger cannot extend past 13.5 inches. It cannot be longer than 13.5 inches. And the ATF has all these kind of zany rules and regulations and so on, and they could say that once you extend past 13.5 inches, that you might be creating a gun that's too comfortable to shoot that encourages shouldering. I mean, it's just ridiculous, the rules that they make you follow. The funny thing about it is this firearm would be much safer and much more stable and easier to use if you could in fact put a vertical foregrip on the front, which you can't unless you register it as an SBR or short barrel rifle, and you'd be allowed to shoulder it. But instead, they'd rather have you one-handed shoot it, which it can be done because it is technically a pistol, or simply using an arm brace with a band to keep it, you know, braced up against your arm while you're firing it. So, in other words, if it could just simply be labeled as a pistol and shot however you want to shoot it, it would be a much safer firearm to use and much more accurate. Now, let's talk about accuracy a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and run some footage in the bottom right-hand corner. And real quick, just to kind of not ruin it, what I more or less was able to pull off was the 2-inch group at 100 yards with the red dot sight dialed in. I tried dialing in at 50 yards initially, and then took it out to 100. The 50-yard dial-in was fine. I got the iron sight set up for 100 yards. That's usually how I dial in my carbines and also my AR-15 pistol. Accuracy was fine, I mean, for 10.5 inches. Then I also took it out and started shooting a gong at 250 yards. And honestly, it was kind of hard to see the gong because the paint was fairly worn off of it, and it did blend in with the berm in the background. And I was connecting, but I noticed I was connecting really low, so I really wasn't compensating for bullet drop at 250 yards. But overall, the firearm has been running great. I've run 3 different types of ammo through it. We ran 55 grain 223 Federal Brass, 62 grain PMC X-Tac LAP green tip M855 style, okay, because it's made in Korea, ammunition. It ran that just fine. In fact, that's probably what I'm going to feed it all the time, because in my opinion, it's what agrees best with the 1-in-7 twist. Now, you can disagree with me, and that's certainly fine. And then we also ran a magazine of Tula steel case, 55 grain through it, just to make sure it would function. Now, you're told not to run steel case ammo through it. I cannot recommend you do. If you want to, that's fine. I'll tell you this right now. I've got a Bear Creek Arsenal AR-15 that I paid about $400 for, that all I did was upgrade the extractor to the Bravo Company unit, and I fired hundreds and hundreds of rounds of steel case through, thousands of rounds of steel case through by this point, and I've never had an issue at all. No buildup of lacquer or coating or any crap like that in the throat of the receiver or by the feed ramps. It runs just fine. In fact, that's basically all I feed it, and I've noticed no drop-off in accuracy or no issues in functionality. As long as you keep your firearms clean and functional and you run good solid ammunition through it, you should not have any issues. That's basically my philosophy. Now, when it comes to moving this thing around and transporting it, you do have a nice dual ring swivel on the back of here that you can use for a single point sling on either side. Okay, this actually came with the firearm when I ordered it. Oh, and that was the other thing too I was going to tell you before I forget. With this setup, this does not require a castle nut, but if you switch over to the CAC Shockwave blade tube, it's going to go in, except you're not going to have a way to keep that plate up against the rear of the receiver. You need to get yourself a castle nut if you don't have one, and it doesn't come with one. So I ended up having to buy one at the last second and put the gun on hold for a couple days while I was swapping over the Shockwave blade and also the tube, which I made a video on that whole process, by the way. If you're interested in seeing how it installs, it's really not that bad. In all honesty, I'm probably not going to go Magpul on the front of it. As much as I love the MOE handguard, I don't really have any tactical need for it. I want simplicity, I want durability, I want ruggedness. And that's pretty much what you're looking for when it comes to a truck gun or just kind of an all-around range gun. It really won't be a competition gun because it is considered a pistol, so I wouldn't be able to use it for the carbine class in the 3-gun competition that I participate in. It does have the MOE trigger guard and also the MOE pistol grip. So if you can get the pistol lower for $139 with the MOE setup, the Magpul setup, do that. That's great. That's going to save you probably 25, maybe 30 bucks in the end. Plus it's already installed, which is always a bonus. Otherwise, it has been a very, very good carbine so far. Now, with that being said, I've only run about 100 rounds through it, which is absolutely nothing. Okay, but I've had problems in the past with firearms within the first couple hundred rounds having issues. The PSA is a good line. It's solid. I'm not going to say it's maybe necessarily a go-to-war grade rifle, which is why you see the military using brands like Colt or FN. But it's decent enough for what you're going to need for what you want to do. Home defense, self-protection. Any kind of a situation where you need to defend the home or you want to just take a nice carbine or pistol with you on the road, this is definitely a way to go. And you can do it without breaking the bank. Now, total investment right here, you're looking at about $500 when everything was said and done. If you were to get the good deals and the specials, you can probably get the whole setup for about $400, $410, not counting an FFL transfer fee. But then when you throw the sight up on the top, which was $53, a flip-up rear sight, which is like another $10, $15, a riser, that's $10 to $12. You're looking at around the $500 mark. So PSA is currently selling a complete setup with the Shockwave blade fin on the back and the buffer tube, and I don't know if it's got an MOE flip-up rear sight. It may, for $499, and it also has an M-LOK handguard, which is very nice. That's one thing I kind of miss was the M-LOK style and design, but I am perfectly happy with just this traditional carbine handguard, which does have metal liners in it, by the way. Okay, and one thing I had to check up on real quick, and I still can't get an answer exactly, is the barrel material. I believe it is a 4150 chrome molybdenum steel barrel. Okay, and like I said, you've got your anodized finish, which is definitely a bonus. Both, again, the upper and lower, like I mentioned before, is made out of 7075 T6 forged aluminum. It is a solid bit. And I just think overall, you would be happy with it if you're kind of if you don't really know if you want to go with an AR-15 pistol. I can tell you right now, the accuracy is going to be there, at least out to 100 yards. In fact, I was able to hit, a 20-inch gong at 250 yards with just a budget red dot sight with really, I'd hardly even be able to distinguish the target from the barrier. I would say that's actually decent. So recoil is completely manageable. I don't think it necessarily thuds much more than just a regular AR-15 or 16-inch barreled AR-15 would kick. I mean, it feels basically about the same as my other ARs. Noise is a little more substantial, but obviously you should have your Pro on. You do have just a basic A2 front flash hider on it. And let's just kind of take a little bit of a close-up view of it real quick before we go ahead and close out. So again, that's your Shockwave blade on the back there. Okay, you got your dust cover. And again, all these parts can be changed out. If you want to put a nice 2-stage trigger in it, that would just be cool. Go ahead. Even though, you know, a lot of times guys reserve that for competition. I'm happy with the TRS 25, although I read not necessarily the most favorable reviews on it. If you guys complain about it, mine's fine. It stays on the whole time. I did swap out and put a fresh battery in it before I went to the range, just because I didn't want to risk having any problems when I'm dragging everything out there to go sight everything in, and I wouldn't be able to. Just some fingerprints and marks on here, but it cleans up really well. I have to say that after coming back from the range, it did clean up nice with some CLP, no problems whatsoever. So again, it is a great little piece to go with, something to consider buying if you want to save a little bit of space. And that's the other thing I want to show you real quick. What are the main length advantages? Now I know you're going to say, well, the barrel's, you know, 5.5 inch shorter than a 16-inch barrel, right? It is, but when you really see the difference in length, it is pretty amazing what it looks like. So let me go ahead and grab the Bear Creek Arsenal AR-15 real quick, and we'll show you what kind of a difference in size we're talking about. Okay guys, I went ahead and cleared the Bear Creek Arsenal AR just as kind of a comparison, just kind of a side-by-side, just to show you the difference here. So if we match it up front to back, okay, you can see that you've got quite a difference there in overall length and size, okay, of the PSA versus the Bear Creek Arsenal. You're going to save definitely inches off the front. Overall, the package is more compact. Now, mind you, I've got this back about 2 inches. I could take this in about 2 inches further and go even more compact if I want to, which is, I basically bought this as a truck and something to take with me that wouldn't take up a whole lot of space in my vehicle. We tend to travel with quite a few things when we go out on the road, and it would be nice to save a little bit of room, and I do that. Now, I use 20-round magazines with it when I travel. I grab about 3 or 4 of these. And my philosophy behind this is that, and I do take a couple 30s, don't get me wrong, but with the 20s, it's a little more compact, you know, it doesn't take up as much room, it's easier to maneuver. You know, obviously you want to take as many rounds as you can because you never know if you're going to have to defend your life. Anyway, guys, I think that pretty much wraps it up, so I hope you enjoyed this video today. We're just checking out the Palmetto State Armory AR-15 pistol with a carbine gas system. Again, I went 10.5 inch because sometimes I hear 8.5 inch systems or even 7-inch barrels can be somewhat finicky, and I just did not want to have any issues. I wanted something that was just going to be reliable, that was going to function from the get-go. Last thing also, you do have the sling loop on the front, so you can get yourself just a nice, you can go with a 1-point sling if you want to. I just go with these Butler Creek slings. These are about 10 bucks from Walmart. Incredibly comfortable, nice for all-day use. They kind of stretch just a little tiny bit when you have the firearm on. It kind of gives a little bit, and it makes the gun feel a little bit lighter when you're carrying it. I've used them before with my hunting rifles and other rifles, and they just work out really well. So anyway, guys, I think that's about it. I think we covered everything you need to know. Please let me know in the comment box below if there's anything else you'd like to know. I do not believe that the feed ramps are polished. They are fairly slick, but they're not a polished steel. You can see kind of a coating on them, but I had no feeding issues whatsoever. Everything extracted just fine. Between about 3 and 4 o'clock, I know 2 to 3 is probably optimal, but it does run really well, and I think it's going to be fine the way that it was extracting. Otherwise, guys, I think that's about it. So thank you for joining us today. I hope you guys have yourself a great rest of the week. Please check me out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and on patreon.com with my channel, Travis P11. You can also find me on VidMe with my channel, Travis P11, and I'm over on gunchannels.com with the Caliber Corner, which is a Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Central Time live podcast that I do with members of YouTube and also the Gun Channels community. So there you go, guys. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen gun room, and I think that's about it. So I want you guys to have fun. I want you to be safe, and as you know, we will talk to you soon. All right, guys, take care. Bye-bye.